So there is a clear unconscious bias to investing in women. And even in a developed country like the United States, women only get 4 to 7% of VC monies. So now if you add to that women who are marginalized, like women of color, rural women, or indigenous women, it's even harder for them to get access to capital. So that has to shift. And part of Angels of Impact's work is to flow money to women and indigenous communities and shift that balance of the funding gap. Angels of Impact is a connector that brings together the community-based enterprises, people who have the money, and at the same time the talents and the skills from volunteers and experts who are willing to be able to give their time.
Providing funding is not necessarily always enough. Instead, enterprises also need a community of support and learning to support them in any funding that they receive. Hence, we also do customized capacity building. Angels of Impact works with community-based enterprises all across Southeast Asia, as well as in the United States and New Zealand. We fund community-based enterprises, as well as provide them with customized capacity building. One example of the customized capacity building that Angels of Impact provides is the Women Impacting Social Entrepreneurship, or WISE program. In this program, we bring together skill-based volunteers from around the region, and we pair them with community-based enterprises based on the needs of those enterprises. We seek out women entrepreneurs in the community who are already doing the work. They are whom we call the weavers of society. Many of them are literal weavers, working to preserve the cultures and traditions of their communities. But even for those who work outside of the creative economy space, such as in sustainable agriculture, they too are the metaphorical weavers in the sense that they reinvest profits back into the health of their children or the education of their families, the overall betterment of society. They hold the fabric of society together. The impact of the work that we do at Angels of Impact is multifold. For one, enterprises in our network are plugged into a community of support. For another, they receive new skills and new knowledge, both from the Angels of Impact team as well as from skill-based volunteers. And finally, they have access to funding where they might not otherwise have had that access, from which they can grow and scale their work.
Angels of Impact has supported Anthill and personally me throughout this journey by really being fully present and finding so many ways and means to be able to support us in our current challenges.
Finance has always been about making money from money. But when you're working with people who are at the community level, really helping their communities, and these are marginalized populations, you need to be looking at money as a source of empowerment, money as medicine. And in that case, the model is very different. The kind of investor that comes in is very different. The terms you fund has to be restorative. It has to be able to empower people to heal planet and people. So in the next few years, we are actually really going to focus a lot more in the area of the restorative funding, the terms, as well as how we do capacity building.
Women have been shown to give back up to 90% of their income to their communities. And when they give back to their communities do better. That in turn at scale affects the economy of an entire nation. And of course, when the economy of a nation does better, every individual household also benefits.
The status quo is what has gotten us into this problem. What we need is new solutions, and the new solutions are on the ground. So I think this is the time for you to change the way you look at the world. Poverty is not here as something that we have to just live with. It is something you can do something about. We can all do something about. So I want to challenge you to think about poverty and how you can play the role in ending poverty.